Let's go Dolphins! Something is seriously wrong within the Miami Dolphins organization, and what I've discovered will shock you completely. From explosive locker room drama to leadership failures at the highest level, the truth behind this team's failure is finally beginning to come to light, and I'm going to tell you all about it right now. But I have to warn you, once you hear what's really going on, you may never see this team the same way again. Do you think it's just a matter of losing a few games? No, it's much deeper than that. It's personal, it's cultural, and it may be too late to fix it. So, before we dive into this madness, do me a quick favor. If you're aquamarine and orange and are tired of watching this team self-destruct year after year, hit that like button right now. And if you've been a Dolphins fan through thick and thin for 20 years or more, I want you to comment, "Go Dolphins!" We won't give up. Let's flood the comments and show this board who the true voice of this franchise is, the fans. Now, let me show you exactly why this team is falling apart from the inside out. Drop a comment, "Go Dolphins!" My heart bleeds aqua and orange. So let's get to it. It's another rough morning in Dolphins Nation. The time is ticking, and yet, somehow, Mike McDaniel and Chris Grier are still employed. Yes, while the rest of the league adjusts, evolves, and moves forward, the Dolphins remain shackled by dysfunction and mediocrity. The fan base is livid, and rightfully so. After years of broken promises, inconsistent leadership, and failure to deliver when it matters most, it's baffling that these two men continue to hold their positions. Mike McDaniel might be a solid offensive mind, but let's not pretend he's qualified to be the head coach of a team with Super Bowl ambitions. His second-half collapses have become routine. Against the Chargers, the Dolphins came out of halftime and completely flatlined. They ran 6 plays for negative 11 yards in the third quarter, outgained 155-1, outscored 14-0, held the ball for just over 3 minutes. It was a complete meltdown, and it was all coaching. Jim Harbaugh made halftime adjustments. McDaniel, he got exposed. Again, even when Miami has a solid first half, the second half always brings disaster. It's not a fluke, it's a trend. Going into week 6, Miami had the second worst point differential in the NFL after halftime, -31. Only the Titans were worse, and it's not getting better. That speaks volumes about preparation, discipline, and leadership. That falls squarely on the head coach. Mike McDaniel might know how to call plays, but he's not leading this team anywhere meaningful. Let's look at the offense. Yes, they've scored points, 27 against the Patriots, 21 against the Bills, 27 against the Jets, 24 against the Panthers, and another 27 against the Chargers. But even with those numbers, the team continues to crumble in critical moments. The offensive production is being held together by duct tape. The offensive line has been a disaster. And while McDaniel gets credit for creative play calling, it doesn't mean he should be the face of the franchise's leadership. He's simply not that guy. And then there's Chris Grier. This man has been the Dolphins GM since January 4th, 2016. That's nearly a decade in charge. What does he have to show for it? A 76-78 regular season record. A playoff record of 0-3. 9 seasons, 3 playoff appearances, 0 wins. 3 head coaches, Adam Gase, Brian Flores, and now Mike McDaniel. Still no success. It's not just bad, it's inexcusable. And if that's not enough, let's talk about the draft. From 2016 to 2024, out of 62 draft picks, only 21 have been successful. That's a 33% hit rate. 1-3. That's not how you build a championship roster. No other general manager in the NFL has lasted this long with that kind of resume. Most GMs don't survive hiring their third head coach. But Grier, he's still cashing checks, still making decisions, still dragging this franchise down. It's unfathomable. He's built a shaky roster that can't handle adversity. And the fact that he's still around is a direct reflection of Dolphins owner Stephen Ross. The longer Grier and McDaniel stay, the more clear it becomes Ross simply does not care. And now, we shift to Tua. He's the captain, the quarterback, the highest paid player on the team, and he's lost the locker room. After the most recent loss, he aired out his teammates to the media, calling out players for skipping or arriving late to player-only meetings. That's a major no-no. You don't do that, especially as a quarterback. Even if it's true, you don't expose your teammates publicly. It shows a complete lack of leadership and accountability. It's not about whether what Tua said was accurate. It's about how he said it and where he said it. This wasn't a young, inexperienced player slipping up. This was the face of the franchise showing his true colors. Since getting paid, Tua's demeanor has shifted from humble to arrogant. Former players and media figures, names like Kurt Warner, Emmanuel Acho, Jeff Darlington, have all come out swinging. Warner said being a pro means holding yourself accountable. Acho went further, saying guys don't show up because they don't respect Tua. That's brutal, but it might be the hard truth. Tua has become a liability in the locker room. When your quarterback is openly blaming others and your head coach is getting outcoached every week, it creates a toxic environment. And Chris Grier, he built this mess. He owns this mess. The fallout from Tua's post-game comments is still rippling through the locker room, and if you're paying attention, the signs of a team in complete disarray are impossible to ignore. We're not just talking about a rough patch or a slump, this is foundational collapse. When your quarterback publicly points fingers, when your head coach shows no ability to adjust, and when your general manager has a near decade of mediocrity under his belt, it's not just a losing streak, it's organizational rot. Now let's unpack what Tua's outburst really means. The moment a quarterback takes his issues with teammates to the media, it shatters the trust inside the building. Think about it. These are men who go to war together every week. There's a code, and Tua broke it. If guys weren't respecting him before, they sure won't now. In fact, calling out your teammates in front of the national media might be the fastest way to completely fracture a locker room. This isn't just about missed meetings anymore. It's about leadership, or the lack thereof. There are whispers, some not so quiet anymore, that certain players have already started tuning him out. That his words don't carry the same weight, that the captain patch on his chest is more decorative than functional. And honestly, can you blame them? What kind of leader drops a bomb like that in the media instead of handling it internally? This team isn't just struggling to win football games, they're struggling to stay united. Let's not forget, Tua was never unanimously embraced by the locker room, even going back to the Brian Flores era. There were rumblings then, and they've resurfaced now. Since getting paid, his body language has shifted, his attitude feels different, and it's clear he's not the same quarterback emotionally or mentally. Maybe the pressure's getting to him. Maybe he believes his own hype. Whatever it is, it's not helping the Dolphins. And that brings us back to the head coach. Mike McDaniel is watching this entire circus unfold on his watch, and he's either unwilling or unable to stop it. A real leader would have taken control of this situation the moment it started. A real coach would have pulled his quarterback aside, calmed the storm, and brought the team back together. But McDaniel hasn't done that. And honestly, why would we expect him to? He's lost too. McDaniel came into Miami with swagger and charm. But charm doesn't win playoff games. This league doesn't care how smart your play designs or if you can't command a locker room. We've now seen the Dolphins repeatedly fall apart in high-pressure situations, particularly in second halves. That's not just bad luck. That's not just fatigue. That's a coaching issue. And it's becoming clearer each week that McDaniel doesn't have what it takes to guide this team through adversity. He's an elite play caller, no doubt, but that's not the same as being a head coach. The man who designs creative screens and shifts isn't necessarily the one you want leading men into battle. McDaniel might be better suited for a coordinator role where he can focus solely on offense without the burden of managing personalities, discipline, and culture. Because let's face it, he's failed at that. And speaking of failures, it always circles back to Chris Grier. Because all of this dysfunction, the poor leadership, the lack of accountability, the fragile locker room, is a direct result of the team he built. This is his vision. These are his guys. And it's not working. He's missed on the draft. He's hired and fired coaches. He's paid the wrong players. He's clung to a quarterback who now finds himself at the center of a locker room mutiny. It is absolutely wild that Grier still has a job. The numbers don't lie. Nearly a decade of roster control. 0 playoff wins. A draft record that would get most GMs fired after 3 years. Yet here we are, in year 9, with Grier still calling the shots. Dolphins fans, this is the definition of insanity. How long can we keep doing the same thing and expect a different result? At this point, it feels like the only way forward